There was a period in my life where everything on the outside looked completely fine. The job was there, the schedule was full, the responsibilities were being handled one by one. But something underneath all of it was quietly breaking, and I could not explain what it was. I was not depressed in the clinical sense, but I was not okay in any real sense either. Every morning felt like dragging a body that had already given up before the day even started. I would get through the hours, but I was never fully present inside any of them. If you have ever felt that specific kind of tired that sleep does not fix, you already know this feeling. It is not exhaustion from doing too much. It is exhaustion from living without any internal anchor. I tried the productivity systems, the 5 a.m. alarms, the cold showers, the journaling prompts. None of it touched the actual problem because none of it was designed to reach that deep. And then, almost by accident, I started reading about how ordinary Japanese people structure their daily lives. Not the monks, not the elite athletes, just regular people living quietly in ordinary Japanese neighborhoods. What I found was not a life hack or a 10-step program or a morning checklist. What I found was a philosophy of living that treats the mind the same way you would treat a garden. You do not force a garden to grow, you create the right conditions, and then you stop fighting it. That shift in understanding changed everything. And I want to walk you through exactly what I learned. The first thing Japanese psychology taught me was the difference between a schedule and a rhythm. Most of us in the Western world build schedules, rigid time blocks, alarms, productivity apps, color-coded calendars. A schedule tells you what to do and when to do it, but it does not care how you feel doing it. A rhythm is different. It is a recurring pattern that your nervous system learns to trust over time. When your body knows what is coming next, it stops spending energy bracing for the unknown. That saved energy is what becomes focus. It is what becomes calm. It is what becomes presence. In Japan, this concept is embedded so deeply in daily life that most people do not even have a word for it. They simply live it. The same tea in the morning, the same walk, the same quiet before the noise begins. Neuroscience now confirms what Japanese culture has practiced for centuries without needing a laboratory to prove it. Predictable routines lower cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone, by reducing the brain's need to constantly predict what comes next. When cortisol drops, your prefrontal cortex comes back online. And that is where clear thinking actually lives. I started building a rhythm instead of a schedule, and within 2 weeks, my mornings felt like a different country. The second lesson came from a Japanese concept called ma, which translates roughly to intentional empty space. In Western culture, empty space is a problem to be filled. Silence feels uncomfortable, stillness feels unproductive. But in Japanese aesthetics and daily life, ma is considered essential, not decorative but structural. It is the pause between notes that makes music beautiful, the space between words that makes conversation meaningful. I realized I had no ma in my life at all. Every moment was occupied, every gap was plugged with a screen or a sound. My nervous system never had a single moment to process what had already happened before the next thing arrived. The practice of ma does not require meditation. It does not require a cushion or a cantra or a special room. It requires only the willingness to sit with nothing for a few minutes and resist the urge to fill it. I started taking 3 minutes between tasks, just 3 minutes, no phone, no input, no agenda, just existing. What happened in those 3 minutes was not nothing. It was the most important processing my mind did all day. Emotions that had been waiting in line for weeks suddenly had a moment to be acknowledged and then released. Ma is not wasted time. It is the space where your mind actually heals between one demand and the next. The third principle that restructured my inner world was Kaizen, the philosophy of continuous 1% improvement. You may have heard the word before, but most people understand Kaizen as a productivity concept, and that is only half of it. The psychological dimension of Kaizen is far more powerful than any to-do list application could ever be. Kaizen works because it removes the catastrophic pressure of transformation and replaces it with the quiet dignity of direction. You are not trying to become a different person. You are simply trying to be 1 degree better than you were yesterday. When I applied Kaizen to my mental health routine, I stopped asking what is the best morning routine and started asking what is one small thing I can add today. The first week I added only 2 minutes of slow walking near a window before looking at my phone. That is it, 2 minutes, no podcast, no plan, just slow walking and natural light hitting my eyes. By the end of the first month, that 2-minute walk had naturally grown into a 15-minute outdoor morning ritual. I had not forced it to grow. The momentum of consistency did that on its own without willpower being involved at all. This is the genius of Kaizen applied to the mind. You are not building habits through discipline, you are building identity through repetition. Every small action you take consistently sends a signal to your brain that says this is who I am now. The fourth element I discovered was the Japanese relationship with nature, specifically a practice called Shinrin-Yoku. Shinrin-Yoku translates directly to forest bathing, but bathing here means immersion, not hygiene. It means walking slowly through natural environments, breathing deliberately, and allowing the senses to absorb rather than analyze. Japanese physicians began formally prescribing Shinrin-Yoku in the 1980s after research confirmed its measurable effects on human biology. Spending just 20 minutes among trees reduces cortisol by up to 16% and lowers blood pressure measurably. The compounds released by trees, called phytoncides, have a direct effect on the immune system and the nervous system simultaneously. But the psychological benefit that no study fully captures is the experience of being somewhere that does not need anything from you. Your phone needs your attention. Your inbox needs your response. Your relationships need your energy. But a forest needs absolutely nothing. And in that need-nothing environment, something in the human nervous system deeply exhales for the first time in days. I did not have a forest near me, but I had a park with 6 trees and a bench, and that was enough. 20 minutes, 3 times a week, no headphones, no destination, just slow walking and open attention. Within 3 weeks, the low-grade anxiety that had been my constant background companion began to noticeably fade. Now here is the insight that hit me harder than anything else in this entire journey, and I want you to stay with me on this one. Japanese psychology does not separate the body from the mind the way Western psychology historically has done. In Japan, the body is not a vehicle that carries your brain from meeting to meeting, it is the first layer of the mind itself. This means what you eat, when you sleep, how you breathe, and how you move are not lifestyle choices, they are mental health decisions. I had been treating my mind as if it existed above my body, trying to think my way to clarity while ignoring everything below my neck. When I started eating lighter in the evenings, walking in the mornings, and sleeping before midnight consistently, my thinking changed. Not because I became more disciplined, but because I gave my brain the biological conditions it needed to actually function properly. The Japanese practice of hara hachibu, eating until 80% full, is not primarily about weight management. It is about keeping the body in a state of lightness that allows the mind to remain sharp and the emotions to stay regulated. A heavy body creates a heavy mind, and a heavy mind cannot access the clarity that makes good decisions possible. This connection between physical rhythm and mental clarity was the missing piece I had been overlooking for years. If anything I have shared today has landed somewhere real inside you, I want to take a moment to speak directly to you. This kind of content takes time to research, to build, and to share with the genuine hope that it reaches the right person at the right time. If this reached you today, and something in it felt like it was meant for you, please take 1 second to like this video right now. And if you know someone who is carrying that specific kind of tired we talked about at the beginning, share this with them today. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss what is coming next, because the topics ahead go even deeper than this one. Leave a comment below and tell me what part of this landed most for you, and tell me what topic you want me to explore next. The 5th and final principle is the one that holds all the others together, and it comes from the Japanese concept of Ikigai. Ikigai is often translated as reason for being, but that translation makes it sound more dramatic than it actually is in daily practice. Ikigai is not your life's grand purpose or your cosmic mission. It is simply the answer to one quiet question. What is the small thing that makes today feel worth living through? Not worth dying for, just worth living through. In Okinawa, one of the regions in Japan where people routinely live past 100 years old, Ikigai is not a concept people analyze. It is something they simply have, a garden, a grandchild, a craft, a morning ritual that belongs completely to them. Researchers studying Okinawan longevity found that having a clear Ikigai was one of the strongest predictors of both lifespan and mental health. Not wealth, not genetics, not even diet alone, but the daily sense of waking up with something that is yours and that matters. When I sat down and honestly asked myself what my Ikigai was, I realized I had been living entirely for external expectations. Every part of my day was shaped by what other people needed from me, and nothing was shaped by what I genuinely needed from myself. Finding even one small daily anchor that belonged only to me changed the entire emotional texture of ordinary days. It did not have to be grand, it just had to be real, and it had to be mine without any justification required. Here is what the full rhythm looked like once all 5 principles were woven together into a single daily structure. Mornings began with slow movement and natural light before any screen was touched or any demand was acknowledged. Intentional empty space, the practice of was placed between tasks like punctuation between words in a sentence. One small Kaizen improvement was identified each day, something so small it felt almost embarrassingly easy to do. 3 times a week, 20 minutes outdoors without headphones or purpose, just presence in a natural environment. And every evening, a few quiet minutes were given to the one small thing that belonged entirely to me, the personal Ikigai anchor. This was not a productivity system, it was a mental restoration rhythm, and the difference between those two things is everything. A productivity system extracts from you, it demands output, it measures your value in tasks completed and goals achieved. A mental restoration rhythm replenishes you. It returns something to the well before you try to draw from it again. The mind that saved itself was not the one that pushed harder. It was the one that finally learned how to rest with intention. That is the routine that rebuilt me. and it is available to anyone willing to stop fighting their own nature long enough to listen to it.